Hello, good day. My name is Mr. Sam. I'm here to talk on the topic respiration, and we're going to first of all discuss the respiratory system because we can't talk about respiration without talking about the respiratory system. Our body is made up of tissues, and this tissue need constant supply of oxygen to live, and the exhalation of a carbon dioxide from the body. This gas, when it's accumulated, can be lethal when it's not expelled. Now, the respiratory system is made up of three components. We have the airway, we have the muscle of respiration, and we have the lungs. Now, the airway is made up of the nose, the mouth, we have the trachea, we have the bronchi and the bronchioles, we have the larynx too. Now, the muscle of the respiratory system, we have the thoracic cavity and the diaphragm. Now, when we talk about, we have the lungs also. The lungs is the primary unit for respiration. Now, the airway. The primary airway is the nose and the nostril. The nose is the exterior part that is covering, housing the nostril, and is made up of muscle, skin, and tissue. The nostril is a hollow space cavity. It's a cavity that connects into the body to convey air into via from our trachea into bronchi, then to lungs for exchange of gases. Now, the nostril is composed of a cilia, hair, and mucous membrane that secrete mucus that help in trapping of dust and the foreign microorganisms that make air unfit to go into the lungs. So the nose help the cilia, the hair, and the mucous membrane help in filtering. Their function is to filter air that goes into the lungs for gaseous exchange. Then the mouth also is the secondary respiratory system. The mouth is wide and it can take large volume of oxygen, but its pathway is very short because the mouth has short pathway. The air that is being conveyed by the mouth is not moist and is not warm. And the mouth also, because it's short and the mouth lacks cilia and mucous membrane. Therefore, the air that enters through the mouth is not filtered. Now, we talk about the pharynx. The pharynx is also known as the truth, our truth. Now, when we talk about the pharynx is divided into three parts. We have the nasopharynx, we have the oropharynx, and we have the laryngopharynx. The nasopharynx, I would say the nasopharynx from the nose to the pharynx, it conveys the air, the pharynx. You find the pharynx at the posterior of the trachea. Now, the work of the pharynx, the nasopharynx, is to convey air from the nose into the trachea. Then the oropharynx convey air from the mouth into the trachea. Then the laryngopharynx, talk about the laryngopharynx, that part that we'll talk about. There is a cartilage that that help to block the pharynx, because the pharynx also conveys, used for swallowing and for breathing. There is a cartilage that help to, as a switch, as a flap that block. For example, you want to swallow so that food won't go back into your nasopharynx. Now, that can cause irritation. Flap that you have to cover the trachea when swallowing is called the epiglottis. The epiglottis act as a switch that prevents food, that when you swallow it, food to go back into your nose. And when we have the larynx. The larynx also is called the voice box. Now, the larynx is made up of cartilages, and one of the cartilage that is found is the thyroid cartilage that protrude out a bit, that is more prominent in male, that is called the Adam apple. Then we have the trachea. The trachea is made up of cartilage, and is open, like is a ring shape, like a ring, that when you contain elastic and cartilaginous in nature. Now, the work of the trachea is to convey air into the bronchi. And the trachea also is lined with endothelium. That is, those endothelium secrete mucoid also that help to trap dust and to filter air before they go into the bronchi. Then it is the trachea that branch to form that branch into the left lungs and the right lungs that are called the bronchi. Now, these bronchi further are branched to form the primary bronchi, and from the primary bronchi, they branch again, forming a milliliter, very short and tiny, continuation to form what is called the secondary bronchi. Then the secondary bronchi in turn splints to form what is called the bronchial terminal. Then inside the lungs we have the alveoli. Now, the work of the bronchi is for them to convey air into the lungs. They convey air into from the bronchi to the bronchioles, then into the lungs for where the alveoli of the lungs for which is called the air sac for exchange of gases. Then the lungs itself is clothed with pleural membrane that help the lungs from overexpansion when breathing. From overexpansion, does it contain just like the heart that is being surrounded by pericardial sac. Also, the lungs have a sac that is covering membrane that called the pleural membrane. Inside the lungs, there are lobes inside the lungs that are called the alveoli. What are the work of the alveoli? The alveoli also, they are called the air sac that help in exchange of gases. What about the muscles of respiration? When we talk about the muscles of respiration, we'll talk about the diaphragm and we'll talk about the intercostal muscle. In those days, our teacher would say we should breathe in with it. When you breathe in, you see that your chest is packed upward. When like this, you breathe in like this. There is contraction in your lungs because air has filled it. Our teacher will say you should breathe out. When you breathe out, you feel relief. Then there is relaxation in your lungs. Now, the intercostal muscle, we have the internal intercostal muscle and the external intercostal muscle. The internal intercostal muscle help in contraction during inhalation. Then the external intercostal muscle help in relaxation when you're breathing out. And the thoracic cavity, which is the diaphragm, which help as a pump also to exert pressure. They act as a pump. As you breathe in, your muscle packed up, the diaphragm pushes upward into your intercostal muscle to help to push the lungs so that the lungs can be filled with air. Then when we talk about the lungs also, that help, for example, because of the intercostal muscle and the diaphragm, that is when you are exercising, the lungs and the pleural membrane, the lungs have the ability to take oxygen. Even when you still exercising, the lungs can take more oxygen, and because of the internal intercostal muscle, then it can expel oxygen back. It can expel oxygen out, preventing hyperventilation. That is when you relaxes, you take air out. Now, the respiratory system, this is just the description, the basic description. I call it basic because it's deeper than this. This is the basic description of the respiratory system. Subsequent time, we're going to talk about the physiology of the respiratory system, how it functions. Now, our video comes to an end here. If you watch, when you're done watching, you can feel free to share to your colleagues so that they can benefit from our video too. It's very paramount. And nobody is above learning and nobody is above mistake. Learning ends when we finally sleep. And you know what I'm talking about. So when you notice any error in this video, any correction, you can drop it at the comment section for us to improve. And also, if you notice anything that you want to add, you can feel free to add something into this video. Don't forget to share and like, and wait for us as we talk about the physiology of the respiratory system. Thank you very much for listening.